So something I've been thinking with Forza Horizon, it is clearly one of the biggest racing game genres in the entire world at this point, which is probably not that surprising to anybody, but I also kind of feel like in some ways that it feels like it isn't taking any more risks that I honestly think it probably should be. Now, the thing is, I'm not saying Forza Horizon is bad because I'm sure people might jump to that, but what I am saying though is maybe the overall success of it might actually make this game harder to innovate the way players want it to. Now, we do know the obvious reason to this, and that could probably be down to the game pretty much selling well and always getting a really good review every time the game obviously does come out. We all do know IGN gives basically every single Forza a high rating. Every game pretty much sells millions and millions of copies. I would say 5 probably has the most at over 50 or whatever. Now, yes, Xbox obviously has the Game Pass thing, but that's still a lot of people in there. Then obviously PlayStation made a lot, and we all do know Forza Horizon 6, I would say, is maybe 12 to 14, something around there. Even if it did do 10 million and a lot of people actually bought the game, I mean, Microsoft is clearly making a lot of money there, and I'm sure they'll probably end up making tens of probably hundreds of millions of dollars again when the game launches on PlayStation. So the issue with this though is why would they really reinvent something if it already is clearly working very well and people keep buying the game? I mean, why would you end up risking something or maybe even trying to do something different if most players probably enjoy the formula in the game? Guys, so I want to leave you with that question real quick while I dive deeper into this. Would you guys rather see a risk being taken in Forza Horizon with an overall different design with how the game already is? Would you like to see that? Could be anything. Let me know in the comments below. Customization, cars, different houses, actual houses you can walk in. Do let me know your thoughts. I'm curious. But the thing is, though, if they were end up, maybe going there and going, let's take a risk here. What if that did upset a big percent of the player base where they didn't actually want to see these things happen in the game? Which, honestly, guys, the other way I'm kind of looking at this, though, is what if they did end up kind of taking a risk and maybe that would end up upsetting a lot of players that might end up enjoying this formula, and they do know people would end up buying how the game is at the moment. And to be honest, this also falls into the entire thing of, we really want games to be different. Then when they do it, they do not like it, or, players are not a fan of it and they wish it would have stayed the same. And then when games stay the same, people still get kind of angry with everything. So I feel like it's a lose-lose there, but they also probably look at the overall risk of adding something different into this entire franchise. And maybe they would just go, okay, well, what if that would upset a quarter, which is obviously millions of players, and that could be millions of players that would not buy the game. Maybe that alone could end up playing a risk there. And the thing is, though, why would they want to spend years building new systems if the current formula of the game is clearly working? You guys know what I'm saying? Like, if it is clearly working, would they really want to spend years probably of, changing the entire design of Forza, making it way different than what it currently is? Would they really want to do that? Or would they rather basically keep the game in the same design that it currently is? That way it's kind of on the route of, okay, well, you know what? People really do like this. People are clearly buying it. If we were to change it, maybe that would make even millions of players not buy the game, which right there could obviously be a turning point for them. Now, the thing about this, though, is maybe that's along the lines of playing it way too safe because they know that it's super successful, so maybe they don't need to actually change it. We all do know the entire festival structure, guys, changes a little bit each game. Goes all the way back to Forza Horizon 1, then you obviously have it in 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I would almost guarantee that 7 will probably have a festival design to it because Forza is kind of known for the Forza Horizon Festival. The thing is, though, maybe that entire festival design is kind of growing thin with how players have been playing this for basically around 10 plus years now. Maybe they probably want to have a different design to it where it isn't feeling like it's almost the exact same thing, just a little bit different every time a game does end up coming out. The other side of this, though, is maybe a series becoming so dang successful that it's honestly making it almost impossible to innovate it because of the success that it's actually getting. Some of this, guys, can also be said about something like Call of Duty, bro, to where people are like, no, 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 don't change things. And then when they do, people kind of freak out and they keep buying basically the same type of game every single time. And you know what? Why would they end up changing that if people clearly keep buying the game every single time it launches? It's kind of something I think about. But the side of this with Forza, though, is we all do know the progression has, evolved in ways. Sometimes the overall core loop of it's kind of similar. In a racing game, you jump in, you do races. I would say in every game is obviously changed a bit. For me, though, I will admit, Forza Horizon 1 probably had the best overall structure when it does come to the main progression standpoint. You basically go through the entire game and you get a ton of cars unlocked by simply playing. You don't really have to buy things. You don't have to open wheel spins and hope that you actually get a car, and put tens of hours into opening wheel spins on an RNG system that would get you those vehicles. So yeah, you could clearly see a different design in the older games, and that might end up being another issue that people end up seeing. I mean, you see the entire progression change in each game on how it is designed. And let me ask you guys that. What would be your ideal version of progression in these games? I will admit, Forza Horizon 6 obviously did it way better than Forza Horizon 5. There is pretty much no argument there. We all do know that, but I also feel like players look at this and go, dang, so I guess progression is now tied to an RNG wheel spin that could take me 700 wheel spins to get a single vehicle. That's obviously not the progression people are probably thinking about. Now, the other side of this, though, is the weekly playlist that we have seen for around 7+ years now in Forza Horizon. They obviously keep players busy, but to be honest, they don't really fundamentally change the overall experience for people. I mean, you jump in, you do the entire list, you get some cars. It has pretty much been the exact same thing, but I also think the new gameplay mechanics of everything in the game isn't really introduced that much, or it's at least introduced slowly. We all do know a lot of cars come into the game, guys. We have a new class in Forza Horizon 6, which is the R class. Very fun, I will admit that. We also do know the game has a lot of cars, but it also removes cars and then brings them back, which is a sign of their progression. Not have stuff in there and then bring it back is like another reward, because it's easier to put that in there than making new content and all that stuff. A lot of games obviously do something similar, so nothing too insane yet. Now, the other part, though, is we all do know the game's map is obviously beautiful. It pretty much improves every single game in some way. It gets bigger, has more areas to explore, has different things. But I also feel like the overall structure of the maps probably feels very recognizable to most players. Now, the thing is, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because clearly a map in a racing game is the most important thing. Who would have thought about that? You kind of need a good map to actually enjoy the game there, buddy. That's a weird concept, ain't it? But that thing is, though, if you are looking at that map and you're like, okay, well, the same structure's here, I gotta go do the PR stunts, I have to do this, this, and this, it kind of makes players go, dang, I kind of wish they'd mix up this formula a little bit, Maybe they'll mix it up a little bit, but the thing is, though, if it works, it's kind of hard to change that stuff around. You know what I mean? If it's working and they're clearly getting a big success rate from it, it's probably difficult. A lot of players probably look at Forza and they probably have a general idea of exactly what the next game is probably going to do. It will most likely have a new map. It will have some new cars and most likely some graphical improvements there. But I kind of think in some ways, though, people are probably looking at new ways to play, or maybe something different. Guys, I'm going to be real and say I have seen a good amount of comments of people saying, oh, look, it's Forza Horizon. It's pretty much the same game as it has been pretty much years before. But I also kind of think it is along the lines of people maybe noticing this, and that alone can easily burn them out, because the entire formula or the next game or whatever they're doing is so dang predictable that it makes players basically unexcited, or there's no surprise there, which guess what? That makes people go, oh dang, well okay, well I can't wait to play the new game, but it's pretty much the same as the other two. That would end up destroying excitement if the same formula is basically taken from those and it's right into the other games, the same seasonal design, the overall same structure with how you do the PR stunts, all the collectibles, everything is there, which again, we do know racing games kind of follow some of the similar structures, but also they could really innovate this a little bit, and I kind of think that's what players really do want. And you know what, though? This brings me into the next topic that I wanted to discuss here, guys, that kind of ties a lot of it in. I have obviously played through every single Forza Horizon game, and we all do know every single entry kind of changed things in some way, or innovated, or did something I would say a little bit different, or kind of just refining things, you know what I mean? So Forza Horizon 1 obviously had a different festival atmosphere, and even to this day, it's honestly my favorite. I think FH1 really absolutely annihilated the way they did that festival, guys. It was great. The overall way it was designed in that map was awesome. And then we have Forza Horizon 2 that basically expanded the open world and weather. It obviously started to rain and different things in that game, and the world was bigger, was more open and stuff. You could do off-roading areas and all that a little bit easier, so that was pretty dope. And then obviously Forza Horizon 3 pushed the scale even more with the exploration and all that as well. The map was obviously way bigger. It was also very open. It wasn't blocked off in areas, and it also had a small city, which was pretty cool, you know, Surfer's Paradise. And then in Forza Horizon 4, we had the seasons, which was a brand new thing in a racing game. And to be honest, I'm going to say this, Forza Horizon 6's season is cool. Okay, I do like them, but I also think FH4 still kind of wins there, guys. I'm going to be real on that. Let me know your thoughts on that. I still think FH4 did the seasons a little bit better, at least in my opinion. I just enjoy the atmosphere, the way they had it set up. And then in FH5, though, it kind of refined the entire formula a bit. I really do feel like FH5 introduced Mexico, had more cars. As we all do know, most Forzas introduce new cars. But if you look at it, though, and it is indeed Mexico, players probably looked and went, dang, I would have rather stay in the UK. And the funny part is, guys, every time I jump on Forza Horizon 4 and just play it for a bit, do some races, there is always people everywhere, man. Kind of makes me laugh how populated that game actually is still. And then now we do end up having Forza Horizon 6 here. That is continuing to refine basically everything else that it built upon. And to be real, I don't really think it's reinventing anything from any of the other games. It kind of brought some things, took a little twist on the progression side of it with the overall, you know, stamp collection thing, which was pretty cool. But I also feel like a lot of players might view this and go, okay, well, looking at the previous games, you could see it did this and this a little bit. But it kind of just refined everything that people did not like in 5 and mildly changed it around a little bit. And the funny part is, that was kind of the thing I was aiming to really get to, though, is the point isn't that every old Forza was basically revolutionary, although I will admit, Forza Horizon 1 for back then was probably wild. I wouldn't know because I didn't actually get to play it then. But it also kind of makes me go, okay, well, the older games, now I would probably say Forza 1 through 4, guys. Again, and the thing is, I want to know your thoughts on this, by the way, from what I'm about to say, is I feel like that period from 1 through 4 was kind of the overall design of the installments, adding a defining idea to the games every time, or at least really taking a little jump each time when they were doing it. And the thing is, did that really slow down a bit into 5 and then now into 6? Like, was it really that slow of a thing? And to be honest, from what everyone has been saying in the overall community feedback on stuff, it honestly is kind of looking that way, that a lot of players went, dang, I kind of wish we'd have something similar to Forza Horizon 1, 2, or 3 again, or, you know, something that's not 5, or how similar they are nowadays, or the overall design of them is just kind of too successful in a way for them to innovate it. And the thing is, we also do understand that, as what I did say earlier, Call of Duty, again, was an example of this. If a game is doing so dang good and so dang successful, it is probably hard for them to take a risk on it because they do know it is clearly selling well in this formula, so why change it? Now, the thing is, though, would the bigger risk really pay off in this game? One of which could be a full redesign of the progression being completely reinvented. To be honest, guys, I think that would be pretty dope. Having like a hybrid of Forza Horizon 1 kind of just like that. And I'm going to say something right now that might sound a bit wild, but get rid of the wheel spins, I think would be awesome. Just get rid of them, bro, okay? I had to say that, guys, because I really do think they kind of do make progression designed around wheel spins in a way. And you know what? The best way to do it? Get rid of the wheel spins. At least that's my opinion anyway. Let me know your thoughts. The other part of that is, maybe the festival itself could evolve a little bit in some way and not feel like it's kind of just there every single time in each game, or kind of just thrown in there, you know what I mean? The one in Forza Horizon 6 was, again, clearly better than 5, I will admit that. I also kind of like the design in 4, and my favorite was obviously 1 and 3, I would say, for the overall festival. And then maybe along the lines of a career mode might actually be kind of dope. This is also something that gets me excited for Clutch because they're taking a different lane there, similar to what the old Need for Speed games. Oh, Need for Speed, my beloved series, what happened to you, man? We kind of need y'all to come back here. There's not much stuff going on right now with these racing games, man. Come on back in. But I would also be open to a career mode being different in Forza Horizon instead of kind of the way they're doing it right now, because once it's done, which, you know, other games can fall into this, but I also feel like having a New Game Plus or something to where you could play through it again might end up fixing those issues, to be honest there. But let me know what y'all think. Would you like to see a better overall career mode design in Forza games? Let me know your thoughts. I would guarantee most people probably would like that. The other part of this, though, is even having a different design for houses and all that. Now, I do like the garages in Forza Horizon 6. I think they are very cool how they did that. I would say players would rather have a custom house, and being able to walk around their garages properly would be very cool. Maybe that could happen. I don't understand why they had the businesses back in Forza Horizon 4 and then they kind of just got rid of that stuff. I feel like businesses would be very cool, where maybe it could be similar design to how Forza Horizon 4 did it, to where you could deliver cars and then build up that business and get passive income from it and then go do other stuff with it. Maybe delivering cars, customizing them, selling them, using like the flatbed thing, for example, and selling cars that way. I think there could be some things there they could definitely do. The maps are clearly big enough to have little things like that around them instead of just being fully open, pretty much wastelands of things. Not saying that they are, but in ways they have space to add certain designs. Now, the thing is, though, maybe they could have different designs in the game that could also make it have consequences for what you do in there. Like if you race or you beat a certain racer or something, maybe that would end up playing a role to later on in the game, but this also kind of applies to a story design, so I don't really know too much if that would actually work. But y'all know what, though? I could probably keep yapping about this, and I could most likely keep going on for a little while here. But the thing is that I keep thinking about is maybe playing it safe is probably one of the biggest reasons Forza Horizon has become one of the biggest racing franchises pretty much ever. But I also kind of think it's possible that continuing to play this said route of how they are playing it safe is exactly what could make future games way less exciting. And to be honest, I kind of think we're seeing a lot of that now with Forza Horizon 6, and I've been seeing way more comments of this of people feeling less excited because they are looking at that going, yes, a new map, but then they've realized the overall design formulas and basically everything there is similar to the last 3 or so games, and they're kind of like, okay, well, I'm excited, but I'm also not, because to be honest, I am not really too surprised on what I'm going to be getting, besides maybe this new map here and a couple little design elements that are kind of tiny, whereas I think people really want to see a bigger risk. But to be honest, guys, I don't know if that would ever really happen in this franchise. Do let me know your thoughts on this, because I'm going to keep this real, guys, and this could be evidence for the next Forza that would eventually launch. Imagine that game also launches with a similar design to this one, maybe a few tweaks here and there. You obviously have a new map, you have the PR stunts, everything is basically the same. I can guarantee that most players are going to continue to feel less excited about this stuff, and it's most likely probably going to make less people eventually even buy the game, as they go, okay, well, this game's going to be fun for like a month, month and a half, and then we're pretty much going to move on, because at the end of the day, it still feels like Forza.